All right. Smells real carpy.
Oh yeah.
There's a fish that lives in Montana that can challenge the best of anglers. You can often spot these golden beasts cruising in the shallows, or maybe you just see their back breach the surface as you stalk the bank. Spotting them is the easy part. To catch one requires a high level of precision to land the fly in the right spot, stripping it at the right speed in hopes that you see those tuba lips open, indicating that the fish has inhaled your fly. Once the hook is set, hold on for a wild ride, as some of these fish can get as large as 40 pounds and will likely take you into your backing. Fly fishing for carp is a frustrating but addictive pursuit that takes skill, patience, and dedication, just to get a single chance to hook into what some people consider the poor man's bonefish.
Or you can set your trolling motor on low, coast into a pot of these bad boys, set your beer down, draw your bow, launch an arrow, and watch the water explode. When the shooting's good, you can fill a boat in a hurry if you wanted to. At times, thousands of carp will be spawning up in the shallows and you'll have non-stop shooting all day. You can kill as many as you want without seemingly putting a dent in the population. Like most fish that occupy Montana's waterways, the common carp is not native to the state, nor are they native to North America. They were introduced on purpose with the thought that they would serve as a good food source. Unfortunately, it turns out no one here really likes to eat them. We have heard that there's a popular consumer market for them in Asia, but here, not so much.
Oh, gross!
But you know that by the end of the episode, we're going to have to find out for ourselves. Looking at any particular fish species, I often used to ponder, is this fish bad for the system? But I think sometimes that's the wrong question to ask, because how we define bad has become extremely subjective, especially within fisheries. The reservoir we're currently at was dammed long ago, creating a highly altered fishery. The analogy that I love to use is that this reservoir is essentially a giant fish tank. A community fish tank in which multiple people have opinions on and like to toss in different things to see what happens. We can't really let nature take its course in this fish tank because it's no longer a natural system. We can toss in whatever fish we want, but some fish eat other fish, or one species might outcompete another one for resources. There's only so much productivity that can exist in a reservoir or a fish tank. The super simplified explanation is that if you add 1,000 pounds of one fish, it means that you're going to lose 1,000 pounds of another fish. Now, with carp, I don't know if that 1-to-1 ratio is actually going to hold true, but they do have an impact on the system. Carp like warmer water, so in the summer, when we're chasing them, they can often be found in the shallow spots, making them highly visible. They will feed around in vegetated areas, consuming pretty much anything. While their diet is mostly plant material, they will also eat eggs of other fish, zooplankton, any small bugs, shrimp, whatever they can find. They'll root around in these vegetated areas, kicking up anything and everything, often causing the water to become more murky with suspended sediment. So this can lead to a direct competition for resources with other fish, but it also decreases visibility and the other fish's ability to feed. Every system is different, and there are so many variables that make it hard to measure how much of an impact a carp is having on a system. But back to that fish tank analogy. Every person has a different opinion on what fish and how many of each fish they want to see in that tank. As far as I know, there are two main user groups when it comes to pursuing the common carp. Fly fishermen looking for a challenging, fun fish to fight, and rednecks who shoot the shit out of them with bow fishing rigs. Michael and I happen to be excited about both of these methods. You know, ANYFIN goes.
It's probably more redneck than paddle fishing.
Yeah, it is.
The setup here is pretty simple. I have my old bow and the standard AMS bow fishing reel. I crank down the poundage a ways as you often end up shooting a lot. The bow fishing setup comes with a heavy fiberglass arrow, a barbed tip, and some heavy duty cord. The refraction on the water definitely messes with you, and most people start off by missing over the top of them. My rule of thumb, aim low. The deeper the fish is, the lower you aim. Where bow fishing could potentially have an impact is with shooting the wrong species. It wasn't much of an issue for us in this system as there's pretty much only carp in this zone, but there is a growing concern about over-harvesting native fish via bow fishing. In Montana, we have two native carp lookalikes, the smallmouth buffalo and the bigmouth buffalo. These species are very long-lived and much less prolific than carp, so shooting them by the boatful, yeah, not so great. It might seem brutal to some that we just kept shooting these carp, and I'll be honest, it does feel pretty weird to just keep killing them. Normally I don't have a lot of remorse for fish knowing that I'm going to eat them, but not gonna lie, in this case, I'm not gonna eat all of these. That would be a lot of carp to consume. I have heard of carp being used as fertilizer, so I wanted to try that. I think this was kind of an attempt for me to reconcile the amount of death that we were causing and somehow justify it. I mixed together the carp, some molasses, and some sawdust to try to break it down, and it lasted about 2 weeks before my wife put the kibosh on it. Not gonna lie, it was pretty dang gross. I'm sure the whole neighborhood could smell it. As for the one we ate, mixed feelings. The flesh that was white in color was actually pretty dang good, but the majority of it was kind of a darker reddish purple color and much less palatable. So with only wanting to eat about 1/10 of the available meat on a carp, I probably won't be keeping a ton of them in the future.
It's not bad.
Contrary to the relative ease of bow fishing for these massive fish, catching a carp on a fly rod is the exact opposite. It's one of the most challenging species I've ever targeted with my fly rod. Fly fishing for carp has gained popularity among fly anglers over the past decade or so, and for good reason. Carp are strong and smart, making them challenging and rewarding fish to catch on the fly. Some of my best days carp fishing, I may have caught 3 fish in the span of 3 or 4 hours. God!
You sure you don't want to just scrap the boat?
He's feeding.
Just like saltwater flats fishing, fly fishing for carp is mostly spot and stock sight fishing to ultra spooky fish. It takes a super accurate cast to get the job done. If you cast too far in front of them, they won't see it. And if you're too close, sayonara, buddy. Gone. Never to be seen again.
Dude, it's so hard. I don't know what to say. It's just really hard.
Best conditions are hot, stale days when the sun angle is just right to where you can see the fish and there's not a ton of glare coming off the water. The first afternoon on the boat, I had hundreds of shots at fish, but I felt that my flies were too heavy and sinking past the fish and it wasn't getting their attention. So I went home and tied up a lighter version of a bug that I've had success on in the past. After getting my ass kicked yet again for multiple hours, I finally watched a carp swim over to my fly and suck it up with its vacuum mouth.
Woo! Took long enough. This is a nice one.
These fish are so strong and go on amazing runs. It's one of the only fish in Montana that will put you into your backing more times than not. I get jacked every single time I hook one.
Woo! Took long enough, jeez. Like, that's just the name of the game here though, is like, these fish are so hard to feed, especially when they're spawning. This took a long time, but here we go. You can do it, fly rods. It's not nearly as action-packed as doing it with a bow, but this is fun. I want you to get one, Marcus. This one just turned on it, dude. I dropped it right in front of his face, turned on it. Carp on fly, something I've really enjoyed doing the past couple of years. I'm gonna try and get this hook out and we'll release this one.
Now, in my opinion, carp are an interesting fish, and somehow they're able to live in pretty much any system that you throw them in.
At the end of the day, we aren't going to make the reservoir more productive by killing carp, and we aren't going to conserve the population by releasing them. They're just kind of there. But if I can leave you with one short piece of advice, if you are shooting a ton of carp where there are native smallmouth or bigmouth buffalo in the system, take the time to learn the difference and let the native ones live.
Where will we be next week? Who knows? But be sure to come back because anything goes.